Today we will be talking about the catastrophic financial shock coming to the US dollar, the ensuing hyperinflation and debt jubilee, which will be declared by the cabal. Let's get into it. Good morning, everybody. I'm General Greene, of course, of islandproject.com, and we're going to discuss what happens next, something that hasn't been revealed to the American public or global citizenry, and how to get prepared for this and what to expect. So let's dig right in. The U.S. stock market, which we've seen as a result of Donald Trump's tariffs, have been very volatile in recent days. And there's been a lot of talk whether or not Trump will backtrack or he'll press down on the pedal even harder in regards to China and other countries that allegedly have been taking very unfair advantage of us. Well, what's about to happen next is far more complex than just tariffs. What we're looking at is our long-standing prediction of the you-know-what, the reset that will actually send the U.S. dollar collapsing and move the American people into an entirely new blockchain component stablecoin system, which has already been announced by Donald Trump and already being rolled out by the ECB's Christine Lagarde. So let's take a look at what's in the news briefly. April 26, 2025. Of course, Trump is attending the Pope's funeral, which is very biblically symbolic of what I believe the birth pangs that we'll see next are coming. So I'd like you to keep that in mind. And Trump has also been meeting with Vladimir Zelensky, which I predicted just days ago that there would be a sudden peace deal announcement imminently. And we see Trump floating around various ideas and concessions for Vladimir Putin and shouting matches going on back and forth. And here we see an image of Donald Trump with Vladimir Zelensky right before the attendance in a blue suit, which was much of a hullabaloo, at the Pope's funeral. So I do believe peace is coming soon. I believe the art of the deal will be orchestrated by Donald Trump because his eyes are focused on something far bigger. What is that? Iran, Israel, the US dollar reset, and notably Taiwan. Let's take a look at the canary in the coal mine gold, which is now breaking new all-time highs. Of course, I'm a big advocate of gold. I've sold gold. I own a lot of gold and silver. And gold has reached a new all-time high. It's traded as high, I believe, as $3,500 an ounce very recently, and it sits at lucky 3330 today. You see the chart all the way going back to 2016, and the fact that smart investors are pouring their money out of U.S. dollar and the Dixie. The dollar's declining, real assets going up. The dollar's declining, gold and silver are going up. The dollar's declining, real estate is going up. The dollar's declining, even Rolexes are going up. Because again, this is the reset that the financial elites have been warning about for a very long time. And we see the pains, right? Americans are even financing their groceries now with buy now, pay later scams. Loans. Rolled out by the same people that virtue signal their democratic politics. People like Jack Dorsey and others, while at the same time they create loan shark companies that allow you to buy your groceries on credit and pay now for what you won't pay later. It's an absolute joke. And it proves the point that this hyperinflationary wealth transfer engineered by the too-big-to-fail criminal financial banks, like they scammed everyone in 2008 and 2009, is just getting worse. And so this is a sign of the times and the reset and the major shock announcement I'm about to reveal to the American public. Please take a moment to like and share, because not only is this critical, it is very, very important. We see here the Pope being carried into service here earlier today. So, what's coming? How will they reset the system? What's the next scam that the financial elites will pull in order to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people? Kind of like the lockdowns in 2020 and slamming the non-essentials into an equivalent depression and printing so much freaking debt that it can never be paid back. 36 trillion. Well, that proves my point, but it's actually what they're going to do. So let me explain that. Trump's circle is actually floating and considering now, which will be introduced very, very soon. And this is much bigger than Trump. I want you to understand this. Not Trump. I'm not blaming Trump. I'm saying this is going to happen. But the United States government, along with the criminal private central bank, is about to unearth something that we have never seen before in financial civilization history. We can go back all the way to the collapse of Rome and other empires. We have never seen a scam this big. And so what is it? The entire U.S. Treasury debt market is about to be reset into 50 and 100-year century bonds. My God. My Lord. 100-year century Treasury bonds will be unearthed by the Donald Trump administration and worldwide to refinance the egregious scam, never-ending criminal debt, privately centrally owned bank here in the United States. And there's a reason why they're doing it. Century bonds. For those of you who don't understand our financial markets yet, we only have 30-year bonds, right? But by slamming interest rates lower, which Powell will start cutting rates at some point, and Donald Trump, of course, is putting pressure on, needs a way to refinance the debt. You know, to roll it over for another scammed 100 years to see if the empire is still standing. I don't think it will be, to be honest, unless Trump really cleans house and shocks the world by draining the swamp and making all those arrests he promised. So this is going to be absolutely catastrophic. This will send the United States into hyperinflation, and we saw this from Charles Gasparino, a very well-known CNBC pundit. I think many of you are probably familiar who he is. You've seen him on TV, where he reported this just days ago on April 19th and said the following, quote, "Scoop, nascent talk in Trump econ circles about issuing what they call a, quote, super bond, a century bond, with 50 or 100-year note maturities to restructure the debt." And he says people close to the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who, by the way, is a Goldman Sachs lackey, George Soros-funded, short-selling hedge fund manager that worked for the evil empire and the Democrats all these years and helped to collapse the British pound sterling during that famous George Soros event at the Quantum Fund of Soros Management. So I also want you to understand factually that the swamp's actually running things. So the guy that was picked, to run the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, he's actually a George Soros guy. Yeah. Says no official discussions now, but they're coming. Plus, Trump still wants Federal Reserve Chairman Powell out. He's been threatening to fire him and isn't done with looking at other ways of getting rid of his tenure before the 2026, I think, lockup or close. Now, I want you to take a look at this chart, because a lot of Americans are so ignorant, the dumbed down, idiotic, compliant sheep, that they don't realize they're in World War III now. But you are. And so let me show you this. All ties into financial markets. Again, I used to work on Wall Street. I went rogue in 2008-09, invented alternative media television, and invented tokenized real estate, of course, here at islandproject.com, Bitcoin expert, and taught courses recommended Bitcoin under 1,000. I make people rich. If you've taken any of my advice, I have to say not financial advice, but your financial advisor is a loser, and he's broke, and he told you Bitcoin was a scam all those years. Even Donald Trump did. But that's besides the point. But I want you to look at this chart. I'm going to blow it up on screen here for a minute, because we can see it all the way back to 1900. 1920, we get the World War I. And then we come into the Great Depression of 1929. Stockbrokers throwing themselves outside of windows. A Great Depression that my grandfather lived through. I think he had 6, maybe more, brothers and sisters. His father died. He was a bricklayer, actually. Very hardworking man. When he was just a young boy, he had to take over the entire family. And my grandfather, rest in peace, sir, who actually eventually retired, a millionaire out here in beautiful Malibu, actually sold fruit at a fruit stand. He was that poor. during the Great Depression. I remember my grandma, God bless her, lived well into her 90s, was still pinching pennies to the end of her days as she approached almost a century-long years of life. That's how catastrophic it was. But, millennials today, the Gen Y Zers, whatever, the blah, 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 don't think it can happen again. I would even argue you baby boomers out there are far too complacent and comfy right now with your bag of Doritos or whatever it might be, and I ain't hating, but you don't think this is coming. And I'm telling you that history doesn't repeat necessarily, but it does rhyme. And I'm going to tell you about this new depression that you're all in now and this great scam reset into century-long bonds. And at the very least, 50-year bonds that they'll roll out next. Who knows? Maybe 1,000-year bonds years and years from now. But by that time, America will have imploded in a not just hyperinflationary dollar reset collapse and Bitcoin singularity event horizon, but AI and artificial intelligence destroying society in a T2 massacre. And brain chips, like the Neuralink and others. You see here, as we come out of the Great Depression, we approach World War II. Boom. Financial reset, monetization, Bretton Woods, taking us off the gold standard, erasing your currency, backed by nothing, not worth the paper it's printed on, confiscated, blah, 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 by the same government you can't trust that's still in power today. And as we move forward into the 2000s and the dot-com and the Great Recession, and of course the event I'm not allowed to talk about in free speech USSA of America, the whole thing that happened in 2020 that still has emergency executive order, no legal liability at all, even though people are suddenly no longer with us. And I told you to resist and not comply. But you can see here that the chart shows us the catastrophic consequences of a projected federal debt held by the public well into 2050. Well, they can't allow this to happen, and so they're not. They're going to reset it, and that's what they're doing. And you heard it here first, and this will go mainstream in the coming weeks. And guess what? By the way, we'll profit immensely from this. All of our Island Project members keep getting richer. All of our real estate keeps soaring. Just bought a Trump Tower serendipitously. We own 6 properties now with no bank debt, meaning there's no leverage. They're only going to appreciate over time. And we're tokenizing it. And we invented fractional real estate in Maui Boo, a Kapalua Booyah, a Waikiki Booyah, a Park City Booyah. And we just happen to be the Rolex and the Rolls Royce of the best beach oceanfront investments producing cash flows in the world that you can actually use, and it's being tokenized, making all of you millionaires. Links below. Make sure you get in. We're closing the founders round, then go in public. So this is what they're going to do, to scam the fake debt and to reset it. But what is the consequence of this going to be? The consequence is all this money is going to funnel into the next agenda item. And what is it? It's what I predicted all these years. Bitcoin, crypto, Ethereum, decentralized exchanges, tokenized real estate, and a whole lot more. And I'm going to give you actually some explicit examples of this. And by the way, keep your eye on Iran. Trump will strike along with Israel, but they'll blame Israel, and that definitely is coming. But here, case in point, we see a Naples estate in Florida selling for $225 million in one of the country's priciest home sales areas. Prices just keep going up, especially in the best locations like Maui Boo, and where we see beach and ocean front, places like Florida, and even Toledo, Texas. In fact, there's a battle right now between home buyers and Wall Street. Jeff Bezos, and others are rolling in and buying all of the middle American properties that are still actually affordable, pricing Americans out of real wealth, pricing them out of actually a roof over their head, and I would argue destroying our economy and doing the same thing that he did with Amazon, taking out all small, medium-sized businesses, even though there's some efficiencies, and along with BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street, which really are CIA PSYOP assets of hedge fund companies that work for the deep state like InQtel, are destroying the American way of life. And here's a company you've probably never heard of. Of course, I've known about this for years because I invented fractional real estate. Well, this was just announced. Jeff Bezos has started funding rapidly a brand new company that, guess what it does? Sells fractional ownership of real estate. What I invented. want you to think about this for a minute, because a lot of people said, oh, Christopher, what you're doing sounds so complicated. Not at all. We're just the future of money and technology and guaranteed wealth creation. And of course, just like Bitcoin, I recommended under 1,000, and I predicted the lockdowns and also the invasion of Ukraine, and now I'm predicting the peace deal and everything else. I also predicted Fractional and actually own the company that does it. And now Jeff Bezos is moving in, and what are they doing? And what do you get? It's basically like a boring ETF. So basically, you give them $100, and for as little as $100, according to the Wall Street Journal, you can go out and buy all of Toledo, Ohio. That way, no one can afford anything, and you'll get paid I don't know, something stupid, maybe 3% if you're lucky, which isn't going to keep up with hyperinflation at all. Can't use the properties. No real capital gains, as far as I know. Can't stay. They're just in average locations, and all it's going to do is create an affordability crisis, because you'll eat freaking chocolate, not even chocolate covered, but you're going to be eating freaking crickets because you will own nothing and be happy. So you see where this is going? I'm just giving you one specific example. So this sucks here, but it's where it's going. Larry Finkbaum, Larry Stink of BlackRock, they're all moving in, tokenizing, telling you it's the future of money, but they're doing it in a way that's only going to hammer the American public and destroy all your way of life as they reset the system into a hyperinflationary collapse. Again, why are they introducing 100-year century bonds? Because that will force smart money into the best new investments in the world. And what is the reset? Bitcoin. This is why Trump is putting David Sachs as a Bitcoin crypto czar. It's why the United States government's going to shock buy Bitcoin as a matter of national security. You can see our properties here. Absolutely beautiful. This is Puna Beach, paid $5.5 million, no bank debts, all ready to go. Click the link below, contact Pop John, 808-442-2934, and you can literally book your reservation and stay this summer for the summer months. Making money, patting your pockets, increasing your equity value, having a good time, and sunning your friggin' balls, which is why I invented it, soon to be tokenized. And you can see here too, I just wanted to show you quickly, here's the intro of Best Beach in Mauna Kea right here. Just wanted to show it to you. Boom. The Island Project. Just want to show you physical product here for a minute. Here's our Park City.
New $5.95 million. By the way, it's already worth $6.25
million
since you bought.
It's already appraised at
$6.5.
There I am giving a tour, just about that custom painting right there for all of our members. Absolutely the strong
right on the
daily rentals produce $1,500 a day. Skiing here in a moment, won't take too long. Trump Tower. Again, I was at Trump Tower here recently. I told you we were going to buy Trump Tower 5 months ago, and actually we are now. There's Papa John. 5 months later, we've bought Trump Tower. It's property number 6. Hey, Papa John, what is up? Here we are at Trump Tower, and we are under escrow. That'll officially close with no bank debt within less than 30, 45 days. So what is my point here? What's the takeaway of this video here, April 26, 2025? If you don't get it yet, if you don't understand yet, the financial elites are resetting the system into an affordability crisis. Gold and silver and real estate and real assets will continue to soar. This is the tokenization event. And why do they want to reset the debt into a century-long bond? By the way, you're in World War III too, so that sucks. But they're doing that because it's going to force money into the reset, which they always intended, which they were always scamming you. And it's how I knew Bitcoin was actually a legitimate opportunity, and I recommended it under 1,000 because it's blistering amazing technology. I mean, look at what Michael Saylor has done. Look how Wall Street's gobbling it up. Now Larry Fink loves it, called it a scam before, wants to own every Bitcoin he can. They're tokenizing real estate, by the way, as well. You've got people like Jamie Dimon, who's coming around to it, launching his own coins, Trump launching his own meme coins. Again, it's moving that direction. We're moving into a digital reset and a new currency system and a new Mar-a-Lago Accord, which will be announced by Trump, which is the new Bretton Woods, which I also predicted before everyone else. And it guarantees the financial reset, it guarantees hyperinflation, collapse of the dollar, war, and it's actually what the tariffs are really about. You heard my dad say that too. It's like Trump's got something up his sleeve. Well, yeah, it's not really about the tariffs. It's about the financial reset, blowing up the existing financial system into the new dollar. And what is that going to be? Digitized, upgradable 2.0 blockchain-related dollars that will be reset using 100-year century bonds and 50-year bonds and other mechanisms of scams and monetization. It's not like Trump is ending the central bank. He's not going to do that. I would. because that would be my first order of business, and I'd drain the entire swamp and arrest a bunch of these pricks. You know, like that lady that supposedly offed herself yesterday, was part of the Epstein list. We know she didn't off herself. It was Mossad. So it's not like any of that's going to change. We just know where it's headed. And you're probably starting to see now why the general over here and Papa John, Christians like myself, and our amazing members, 400 investors, and growing, although very few more will get in. We don't want really that many more investors. It's more difficult to manage, costs more money, honestly. So if you want to get in, click the link below, make sure you get in now. Roll over your retirement accounts, your 401ks, come in with a minimum of 150 units and talk to Papa John and fill out an app. You can do it right here at islandproject.com. Just hit buy now. You fill out a 3 to 5 minute app to the best of your ability, sign it, I'll get a little tickle. So my father will reach out, give you a call, 150 minimum, come in with 250. And let me show you here our tiers for all the use you get. So if you're sitting on gold like Eleanor was, who just came in with 150 units, I want to show you how to Sedona Booyah. I want to show you what you get. So what do you get? You actually get time, which is a dividend of itself. You get any income, all the capital gains, the traditional investment, no downside, no bank debt. We got loaded Jeeps, private limos, soon to be helicopters and yachts. We're buying Thailand as property number 7. And in addition to that, at 150 units, you get 3 nights comped annually and then 40% off the rack rate. At the gold tier, you get 250 units, 7 nights comped annually, plus all of our transportation. Comped. You get platinum at the 500 units, you get 14 nights comped annually at any of the properties. You can stay in Maui, then go to Kapalua, then go to Park City. You can surf and sand and ski and snorkel and do whatever you want. And the Diamond Nuts Tour, which I have quite a few people at the 1,000 units, which is our cap at $1 million, invest to get 30 days every single year, which really is the best opportunity, plus all the capital gains, plus the tokenization, more access to that, which is a separate event. And you get to do all of that as part of the digital Noah's Ark. Commanded by God, led by Christians faith first, wonderful people like myself and my father, 400 members from over 12 different countries, and an asset already bought, and a company already operating that you can literally book your stay at now, today. So I want you guys all to get ready for the summer here. I want you psyched up. I want you pumped up. I want you ready to rock. I want you to understand this reset, where it's headed. I want to touch on reserve rights real quick. By the way, it's been soaring. Soon to be trading about $5-10 billion. This thing's going through the roof. It was up huge yesterday, double digits. You're going to see this absolutely skyrocket into a God candle very soon. It's owned by Peter Thiel, Coinbase Ventures, Sam Altman, and Paul Atkins was just announced as the SEC advisor chairman, who, by the way, advised on reserve rights and owns it. And he owns millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency, so he's going to pump his own bag. But what do you do when this pumps? You roll over an island project and you come in with even more money. That's why I give this information for free, because I'm giving you a tip. So don't say I never did anything for you. So anyways, I love you guys. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about these century-long bonds? You understand now? You understand where this is going with hyperinflation? You get it? You understand how tokenized real estate's the future of money and technology? You get it? Everyone's moving in. Wall Street, you're not going to avoid this. Again, what we're entering is an end-time tribulatory period. They're going to force the mark, guys. They're going to force these chips in your head. We're not going to do any of that. We don't comply. We build a private, Christian-led ecosystem, buying for the people, the new 1776 Americana, 13 colonies, 13 properties, as we've been steadily expanding. We've already built it. In fact, what you're looking at right here, there's our beach tower right there. It's literally right there. We're right there. So get in, share this video. I love you all. Jesus Christ is King. Get your butts to church, read the Bible, and click the link below and fill out your app, because we're closing the doors. Thank you.